Before beginning, let me again thank God for giving me one more opportunity to speak to you. Before saying something about regression analysis, I have to say something as far as how to learn or what precautions you have to take. Regression analysis is considered to be the foundation for almost all multivariate analysis techniques. So understanding the theoretical concepts, especially with respect to what are the different factors to be considered by you while applying regression, must be learned by the researcher himself. Definitely, I will tell you something very fundamental as far as regression analysis is concerned. But this session is not enough for a proper understanding. Why I am saying so is my own experience. I had been teaching quantitative techniques for the last 32 years. But even then, I'm learning so many things new. I'm listening to experts, I'm reading standard textbooks, and at the same time, I'm reading high quality research articles for understanding the application level of the statistical tools. You have to read extremely good books regarding for a better understanding about regression. Always remember, work hard. There is no substitute for that. Read, and reread. You have to read n number of times regarding the concepts because we, the commerce students, are not experts in statistics. I realize that, including myself, even though I am teaching quantitative techniques for the last 32 years, I am not an expert. This is a subject which is borrowed from another domain. We are actually applying this. So when this is the case, we have to spend more and more time for having a very good understanding about the topic. Okay. So again, I humbly request you to go through some standard textbooks so that you will be in a position to understand exactly what are the theoretical backgrounds related to regression analysis. So first of all, I would like to tell you, show you something regarding a real study. Okay, I'm so happy that 3 of my MPhil students have recently came to me with their data, and they were able to do some sort of statistical operations with the help of SPSS. Now they are able to understand what I'm speaking. I have taken, I'm showing an example from their study with some modifications, because this is a running study. That's what I'm saying, that I'm showing you with some modifications. Okay, this study says financial literacy, positive financial behavior, future time perspectives, all these are influencing the retirement confidence of people. And that ultimately leads to financial satisfaction. Here, financial literacy, positive financial behavior, future time perspectives, these are the three variables which are influencing retirement confidence. And that ultimately lead to financial satisfaction. When you see a diagram like this, you may think about some sort of relationship between these variables. There is an arrow connecting between financial literacy and positive financial behavior that shows financial literacy and positive financial behavior are related. And at the same time, financial literacy and future times perspectives are also related. You can see 3 arrows are coming to retirement confidence. That means the financial literacy, positive financial behavior, future time perspectives, all these variables are related to a retirement confidence of an individual. Okay. All these are some sort of relationships. So the question is how this is related to the regression analysis. Regression analysis is also related to the relationship between variables. You always remember that. See, what kind of relationship we are actually expecting. I already told you, financial literacy and the positive financial behavior are positively correlated. That means higher the financial literacy, positive financial behavior will be better. That is my expectation as a researcher. So it can be my alternative hypothesis. Then financial literacy and future time perspectives of individuals are related. That also, these two variables are also positively related. That is also my alternative hypothesis. Then positive financial behavior of individuals is influenced by their financial literacy. There is a change. If you look at the first one, if you compare the first and the third, you may see there is some sort of relationship because the variables are one and the same. That is financial literacy and positive financial behavior. The variables are same, but the way in which I have expressed the relationship is different. Okay, observe these very carefully. Then retirement confidence of individuals is influenced by their level of financial literacy, future time perspective, and positive financial behavior. Okay, here also I have applied the term influenced. Influencing is also a type of relationship, but the meaning is different. Then future time perspective of individuals depends on their level of financial literacy. Here I have used depends. Then financial satisfaction of individuals depends on their level of retirement confidence. Okay. While looking at these statements, we have to see the more details about the statements and how these can be used by a researcher, especially for developing hypotheses, developing objectives, and for testing of data. Say, take first one, financial literacy and positive financial behavior are related. More specifically, I would say financial literacy and positive financial behavior are positively correlated. That is my argument. If this can be an alternative hypothesis, I have already told you. If this is the alternative hypothesis, which statistical tool I'm expected to use? That is the question before a researcher. So definitely it is correlation. If both financial literacy and financial behavior assessed by me or measured by me are normally distributed, definitely I will go for Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation and see whether these two variables are positively correlated or not. Second one also, literacy and future time perspective of individuals are related. That is also a test of correlation. Now, the third one is positive financial behavior of individuals is influenced by their financial literacy. I have used influence, the term influence. Behavior is influenced by literacy. That is the issue here. That means while looking at this, we can develop or we can sense or we can classify the variables here into two different categories. One is an influencer. That is the literacy is influencing. That is an influencer. And behavior is an independent variable. Behavior is a dependent variable. Positive financial behavior becomes a dependent variable and financial literacy becomes an independent variable. So the variables are classified on the basis of this statement. The variables are classified into two categories, that is dependent and independent. So when there is one independent variable and one dependent variable, and we want to assess or to estimate the level of influence of independent variable on the dependent variable, we are expected to use simple regression. Simple regression. That means you always remember while applying or for applying a simple regression, there should be one independent variable and other dependent variable. Always remember these two variables should be metric in nature. That is, these two variables should be scale in nature. Numerical values cannot, the labeling values cannot be used for applying regression here. And the fourth one, predominant confidence of individuals is influenced by their level of financial literacy and then future time perspective and positive financial behavior. Here, there is one dependent variable that again is retirement confidence. That is retirement confidence. And there are three different independent variables, that is financial literacy, future time perspective, and positive financial behavior. Three independent variables and one dependent variable. When we have more than one independent variable and a dependent variable, we are to use multiple regression. Or multiple regression can be applied when we have one dependent variable and more than one independent variables, and we want to evaluate or to establish the degree of influence of these independent variables on the dependent variables. Okay, I hope you have you got the idea regarding the simple regression and multiple regression. Always remember this linear regression. We are actually studying linear regression. This linear regression can be applied only when the variables we are using are in scale in nature. That is, nominal data cannot be, or the rank data cannot be used for calculating or for applying the regression. Always remember that. Okay, this is actually given for understanding the regression with the help of a live research. Okay, thanks to my students again. Okay. Financial satisfaction of individuals. Another case is financial satisfaction of individuals depends on their level of retirement confidence. That's a very important thing. Okay. When we study dependence or influence or cause, we are expected to apply regression. When we want to establish the dependence of one variable on the other, or dependence of one phenomenon on the other, or influence of one variable or one phenomenon on the over the other, or the cause of a particular thing by some other variable. When you want to study how far a variable depends on the other, how far a particular thing influences other, how much a particular aspect or a particular phenomenon causes or leads to something else, we are expected to study regression. This is the case where you are expected to go for a regression, and you always remember a simple regression is applied when there is one independent and one dependent variable. Always remember the variables should be scale in nature. That is important. Some other conditions are also there. I will definitely tell you. Okay. When we have one independent and one dependent variable, we go for simple regression. One dependent variable and more than one independent variable, we go for multiple regression. Another important issue is the researcher is to decide which variable depends on the other. Normally, a question arises, some confusion arises, which variable is actually independent and which one is dependent. All my dear students, what is the core of our research? Whatever be the discipline we are actually doing, dealing, the core of research is in-depth reading in the subject in which we are actually doing research. Okay, so after reading carefully, you, the researcher, should be able to say which variable is dependent variable and what all are the independent variables. No one else has the right to say this is dependent and this is independent. You practically, you remember, there are some variables which we consider at a time as dependent and independent. May sometimes a variable sometimes considered as independent becomes dependent in another case. So being the researcher, you should have theoretical evidence to state that this particular variable is dependent on other and this is independent. You should have the confidence for making claim, and you should have the you should have sufficient evidence for doing that. Always remember, confidence to do something new is more important than anything in results. Okay. The basis is theoretical evidence, always. Then, what is this regression analysis? Regression analysis is a statistical technique that can be used to analyze the relationship between a single dependent variable. We call it as criterion variable. Dependent variable is known as criterion variable, and one or more independent variables, they are known as predictor variables. The independent variables are known as predictor variables and dependent variable is known as criterion variable. We try to establish the relationship between criterion variable and the predictor variable. Okay. What is the objective? Our objective is to predict the dependent variable. Predict. We are established or we are expected to say predict some values regarding the dependent variable. So for example, when I say predict dependent variable means when you are making a study about the financial satisfaction or financial confidence of people, you are taking a sample from the population and you are getting sample information, that is sampling statistics. With the help of sampling statistics, you will be able to say what will be this particular phenomenon in the population. That is, you are predicting the population parameters. You should be able to predict the population parameter with the help of the sample statistic. So objective is to predict what? The dependent variable. You are to make prediction regarding the population. Okay, I have already told you when one independent variable, there is simple regression, and two or more independent variables, we go for multiple regression. Okay, this part is very, very important. I have already told you, dear friends, you have to read standard books regarding regression to understand properly or understand in detail about the assumptions of a regression. Whether it is multiple regression or simple regression, whatever it be, almost these are almost similar. Okay. What are the assumptions usually made in linear regression? The first one is linearity of the phenomenon used. The phenomenon used is linear in nature. Second one is the constant variance of the error term. Constant variance of the error term. The third is independence of the error terms. And fourth one is normality of the error term. These are the four fundamental assumptions as far as multiple regression is concerned. Actually, this is not enough. If you actually go through some econometric model building books, you may see at least 10 assumptions regarding regressions. But as far as the linear regression is concerned, we should be very careful about these four. Linearity of the phenomenon measured, constant variance of the error term, independence of the error terms, normality of the error terms. Okay, so there are some terms which are not so familiar to us. And you remember, here is the problem of our education. We are teaching regression for first-year degree students, but we haven't heard about error terms, linearity of phenomenon, normality of the error term, and so on. But we have to look into that when we apply in results. So we have to understand one by one. What is it? Okay, first of all, linearity of the phenomenon means what? See, the linearity of the relationship between dependent and independent variables represents the degrees to which change in the dependent variable is associated with the independent variables. That is how independent variable and dependent variable move together. How they are moving. Say for example, when there is an increase in the independent variable, what is happening to the dependent variable? When there is a decrease in the independent variable, what is happening to the independent variable? When they are moving together in say similar line or in opposite direction in a particular ratio, then we say that they are linear in nature. Otherwise, we call, say for example, when there is no connection between the differences happening to individual and the independent and dependent variable, we say that the differences are random in nature. They are not linearly related. Okay. So you always remember, while dealing with correlation coefficient, I have already told, correlation coefficient is based on linearity. Hence, it is essential for regression analysis also. You remember, we will be able to, or we are expected to apply a regression analysis only when the variables we are studying, that is independent and dependent variables, should be correlated. Why we are saying? Because of this feature, that is the linearity. Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation is based on linearity. Always remember, Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation is based on linearity. And there should be some sort of linear relationship between the variables we are regressing. That means the movement of the variable should be somewhere related. There should not be random changes. Okay. Say, for example, height of individuals and their weight. While going through these two variables, height and weight, you can say which one is independent and which one is dependent. Weight is a dependent variable. It depends on height. So height is an independent variable that can influence weight of a person. See the movement of height, 110 becomes 115, then it becomes 120, 125. It's an imaginary example. Weight is going like 50, 55, 60, 65, and so on. The changes are in same line. This is a case of perfect linearity. A case of perfect linearity. Actually, we are not expecting perfect linearity in regression. We don't want. Practically, such situations are absent. Not at all possible to expect perfect linearity. That is, movement of variables in a constant ratio is not possible. Say, for example, when you are increasing your advertisement expenditure by 10%, you expect a sales growth by 10%. If that is happening, definitely the variables are perfectly linear correlated. That is completely linear correlated. But that may not happen. Sometimes it may be more, sometimes it may be less. So that means when there is a change, when there is an increase in advertisement by 10%, sometimes the sales may increase by 20% or 12%. So an increase is accompanied by an increase. A decrease is accompanied by a decrease. And such kind of a relationship between the independent and dependent variables is technically known as linearity. That is to be understood by all the participants. Okay. In practice, perfect linearity is not at all possible. Okay, continuing with linearity. While coming to the original regression or running original regression, how is it possible to understand the phenomenon, the linearity of the phenomenon you are studying? When I say phenomenon, that means that is the variable you are studying. How can we understand the linearity while doing an original analysis? First of all, remember, this linearity can be explained through residual plots. In regression, we have residual plots. I definitely will tell you exactly what is this residual and so on. We have residual plots. I am talking about graph. A consistent curvilinear pattern in the residuals indicate that the data is not suitable for linear regression. Consistent curvilinear pattern. A phenomenon is considered to be the relationship between an independent variable and a dependent variable is considered as linear when the residuals are randomly distributed. There should not be a specific pattern. That is, there should not be a curvilinear pattern. A curve-like pattern, if you take, while taking the plots, the residual plots, if you get a curvilinear pattern of the plots, then definitely the variables are not linearly related. So whenever, sometimes my dear friends, we always remember, we are actually doing all sorts of these exercises after collection data. So what should we do when we try to analyze your data? You see that there is a curvilinear pattern in the residuals. Before that, I would like to say exactly what is this residuals. Residual simply refers to the difference between the linearly expected, that is a standard expected value of dependent of a variable, and the difference between standard expected value and the original value. That is what is known as residual. Okay, when you see that there is a curvilinear pattern in your data, there are some measures. You don't want to give up. I have seen the difficulties faced by some of my students recently while seeing the output when we analyze the data. We don't want to throw away the data. There are some remedial measures. One thing is the data can be transformed. Transforming the data values. The word transformation you have already studied. While studying the normal distribution, you have studied about Z transformation. I hope all of you know about it. Z transformation, that is converting the X variable into Z, that is by using X minus X bar divided by standard deviation. You can convert all the X variable values or Y variable values into a standard value, that is into Z. Or you can square all X variables. Or you can take the log. Or you can take square root. All these are different types of transformations. Dear friends, why I'm telling this to you is I'm not going to explain these in detail. Transformation and other remedial measures are actually not taught in this 10-day workshop in detail because I have already promised you to complete some a definite portion. And these are actually highly advanced portion, that is transformation and remedial measures are highly advanced portion. May be able to speak to you about these in detail. If I want to teach you all these in detail, I have to sit with you for so many days. So in future, we definitely will teach everyone regarding this. Now you try to understand this and try to read something about the transformation and all of the remedial measures. Okay, without these, we can see now how the multiple regression and the simple regression can be run. Okay, this is a possibility. Then including non-linear relationship in the model. We have a linear relationship, that is y is equal to a plus bx. That is the relationship we use in regression modeling. That is the equation for a straight line, y is equal to a plus bx. So this is a linear relationship, linear equation. You have to add non-linear. When some of the variables are non-linear, you have to include a non-linear model. There are non-linear models also. You have to go for such models. If there is a specific non-linear model which is suitable for your data, then you can adopt that. Don't want to say that I must use linear regression. If you found that your data is not suitable for linear regression, you have to go for some other non-linear relationship methods. Then if a standardized non-linear model is not suitable for your data, sometimes that may not be possible. A model may not be ready-made, model may not be available for your data, then you have to develop a specialized method. That is a specially designed regression model can be developed. While going through several studies published in reputed journals, you can see some authors are writing their own regression models. Such methods are are to be developed by you. If possible, then only you are to do that, because high level expertise is required for the second and the third one. You always remember that is not a silly business, You always remember identifying a suitable method of regression itself is a great task. Okay. Out of different regression modeling, linear regression modeling is considered to be easily understandable. Okay. So, linearity. Second one is the constant variance of the error term. Constant variance of the error term. In another sense, we can say this is equality of variance. Equality of variance. See, my dear friends, when you try to so equality of variance is technically known as homoscedasticity. Now comes a new word, homoscedasticity. Scedasticity means variance, and homoscedasticity means equal variance or similar variance. That's all. Don't worry about it. While listening to or reading some words which are not familiar, you don't worry. You try to understand exactly what it is. Okay, this is the second assumption of regression modeling, that is constant variance of the error term. That is, all error terms should be constant, or there is equality of variance, or there is homoscedasticity. That is the second assumption. There is a possibility for a violation of this particular assumption. What is this violation? That is when there may be presence of unequal variance. That means when we say, when we are in need of equality of variance, but there may be unequal variance. We need equal variance for running a regression, but in reality, the variances are unequal. Such a situation is known as heteroscedasticity. That is unequal variance. The situation where the variances are not agreeing or variances are not similar, it is technically known as heteroscedasticity. Understand, this is not so complicated. Okay, how to understand this heteroscedasticity or homoscedasticity in your data? Plotting the residuals against the predicted dependent values and compare them to a null plot is the easiest method of identifying whether you are at a risk, that is whether the data is facing the problem of heteroscedasticity or you are at a safer position of homoscedasticity. Okay, plotting the residuals against the predicted dependent values. I definitely will show how this is done in while doing or while running regression in SPSS. No problem at all. So if there is heteroscedasticity, naturally you are not permitted to apply linear regression. So what are the remedies before the result? If violation is caused by a single independent variable, violation is because of a single independent variable. For this, you remember, for testing homoscedasticity or heteroscedasticity, we are actually testing the relationship between one dependent variable and one independent variable. Even if there are so many independent variables, you are to compare, or you are to test the residuals based or taking the independent variables one by one. So if the violation is caused by a single independent variable, instead of linear regression, you have to go for weighted least squares. Weighted least squares can be applied if the violation is caused by a single independent variable. That is another method of regression. Remember, you have heard about least squares in time series. That is the base of regression here. So you have to go for weighted least square. Then another apply variance stabilizing transformation. Again comes transformation. So you remember, transformation process is very important. Definitely we will speak about this in another occasion. Apply variance stabilizing. That is, when you find that there is unequal variances, you can go for variance stabilizing. The transformation is to be applied. Transform the variables, the independent variable is to be transformed. That means the data you have collected, the numerical values you have put in your computer can be transformed into or standardized into Z value or to log value or to square value or square root values and so on. Okay. Another one is independence of the error term. Independence of the error term is another requirement of regression. Here the assumption is each predicted value is independent. That means they are not sequence of any variable. So my dear friends, you remember, the purpose of regression analysis is prediction. That means you are predicting the value of a dependent variable. And you have prediction for all values of the dependent variable. Say, for example, if you have collected data from 600 sample respondents regarding a particular phenomenon, you will have 600 numerical values regarding that particular variable. Suppose if you are running a regression for predicting the value or the values of that particular variable, then you will get 600. There will be 600 predicted values in place of your original value. You have original data with you. You have predicted values based on your regression. And this assumption says that the error terms should be independent. That means the difference between your actual data, the standardized data, and the predicted value should be minimum, and the predicted value should be independent. That is, the predicted value should be distributed randomly. There should not be the sequence of any variable. That means the predicted value should not be in the sequence of any other variable. That means it should be independent. That's why we say that it's independent. Independence means, well, I have already told you exactly what is error term. Error term simply refers to the difference between the standard value of the variable you are studying and the predicted value as per your regression equation. If there are 600 samples, there will be 600 predicted values, and the 600 standardized values. The difference between standardized value and predicted value should be minimum, and the predicted value should be independent. It should not be like any other variable you are studying. The sequence of the predicted value should not be similar to that of another variable. That is the requirement. That is the assumption. It is completely the predicted value is completely independent from other variables you are studying. That is the requirement. You remember, I'm again and again saying this because it is somewhat difficult to understand. Remember, you have to sit and read what it is. You listen again and again, read the textbooks, standard textbooks again and again, and think with your own examples. Then only you will be able to understand it. Okay. How to identify? By plotting the residuals against any possible sequencing variable. Plotting the residuals against any possible sequencing variable. Simply plotting the residuals, that's enough. Plotting the residuals, by plotting the residuals in a graph, you will be able to understand whether the predicted values are independent. That's all. So how to judge? How to identify this? If this is very, very important. If residuals are important, the pattern should appear random. If residuals are independent, the pattern should appear random. Violations can be identified by checking whether there is any consistent pattern in the residuals. If there is a consistent pattern, that is an upward pattern or a bell-shaped pattern like that in the plot, you can say that there is lack of independence of the error terms. Okay, all these can be understood by a person who is listening to me at the first time only when these are actually seen in the computer, the data, when data is being analyzed. These are really difficult to understand, but it is possible, no doubt. You listen to the analysis part and you do some work yourself, then you will be able to understand it. These are very, very important as far as the application of regression is concerned. Okay. Then normality of the error term distribution. That is another important assumption. How to diagnose? Simple. Fit a histogram of the residuals and make a normal probability plot. Fit a histogram of the residuals. You make a histogram with the help of residuals, and you can make a normal probability plot. These are very easily made with the help of SPSS. No problem. I shall tell you how to make it. The normal distribution gives a straight diagonal line. You always remember, when you make a normal probability plot, the normal distribution will give you a straight diagonal line from left bottom to right. The plotted residuals are actually compared with the diagonal. The plotted residuals are actually the differences, okay, are compared with the diagonal. That is, we are checking whether the plotted residuals are moving along the normal distribution curve. If the distribution is normal, the residuals closely follows the diagonal. The diagonal line actually shows the normal distribution. If the residuals are actually, the distribution is normal, the residuals closely follows the diagonal. If it is closely following the diagonals without much fluctuations or much violations, then we say that normality of the error term distribution is satisfied. Okay. So now we have to see how the regression analysis is being done with the help of computer, SPSS. Okay. You see, this is a new data set, which is made by a student. That's why it looks like this. Whatever be, when you want to run a regression, the first thing you have to do is to test the normality of all the variables. Here I am taking one variable for one most important variable for testing the normality and see whether the dependent variable is actually normal or not. Okay, for normality, go to non-parametric test, legacy dialog, and one sample case. Okay, I would like to take one example. I have a variable, positive financial behavior, whether it is normal or not, just for reminding you how to do a normality test. Actually, you guys know exactly how to do it. Okay. So give OK. See this. See this. One sample case test says significance value is 0.692. That indicates that the distribution of positive financial behavior with mean 2.1346 and standard deviation 0.58933 is normal because it is more than 0.05. It is far away from 0.05. So it is perfectly normal. Perfectly normal. Okay. So we have to go for the test. I would like to run a regression, analyze, come to regression. Here you can see so many options. Okay, so many options. First of all, you have to, before running regression, you can apply this, that is the curve estimation. Curve estimation. Let us go slow and learn one by one. What all curves are actually required? For me, I have retirement confidence as my dependent variable. A retirement confidence as dependent variable. Another independent variable is positive financial behavior. Okay. This process can be done by applying dependent variable and with one independent variable. Okay. So give OK. Here you can see this is the tick given, that is the options are linear, quadratic, compound, growth, logarithmic, cubic, exponential, inverse, power, and so on. Okay, so we need a linear relationship. So give linear. It is there. So give OK. Give OK. We are not interested in these. See there. See here. You can see some circles, small circles here. This is the normal distribution, the normal curve. I have already told you, if the data is normal, this should be like the movement should be like this. The movement should be like this. You look here, the circles, whether they are also in the same direction. When the sample is more, you will not get exact through the line, but you see whether you can see a direction, whether the directions of both these, the continuous line and the dotted lines, are same. If you look very closely, you will see there is some sort of relationship between the normal curve and the plotted. So the linearity is established here. Okay, again, the same process can be done with all variables. Due to paucity of time, I don't want to repeat again and again. We have other data sets also, then we can see. Okay, again come to analyze, then come to regression. Already curve estimation, for the curve estimation process, you have to compare between one dependent and one independent. All possible combinations of one dependent and one independent variable must be done and ensure whether there is a linear relationship. So let me take one more. Curve estimation. Positive financial behavior. In place of positive behavior, financial behavior, we can take another independent variable. The investment, another independent variable is the goal clarity. See whether it is goal clarity. Is there any difference between the shape of goal clarity and this confidence? Look here. Confidence moves from left to right, but this actually moves from right to left. What does it indicate? There is a clear trend. There is linearity, but the relationship is reverse. That is, there is negative relationship between goal clarity and retirement confidence. That's what we observe at this point of time. We don't have any statistical evidence, but this, you remember, try to remember this, what I say. Confidence and goal clarity are inversely related. This may be due to an error in the data actually put in by the students. Okay, whatever be, there is a negative relationship, negative or positive, that may happen. Whether there is linearity, it is sure there is linearity here also. So like this, all independent variable must be compared with the dependent and check the linearity. Okay, then now again analyze. Come to regression. Then linear regression. So what we are actually trying? We are actually trying to see whether retirement confidence of people, whether the retirement confidence of people depends on their financial literacy, positive financial behavior, their future time perspective, and goal clarity. That's what I'm going to test. Once again, first of all, you take the dependent variable. Retirement confidence is the dependent variable. What are the independent variables? First, I have shown the model to you, but there is a mistake in that model. That is, I have incorporated all the variables. That is not a mistake. Purposefully, one variable is not included. Okay, The independent variables include financial behavior, that is positive financial behavior, then future time perspectives, goal clarity, then financial literacy. These are the variables. So first of all, enter, select and enter dependent variable, then select and enter all independent variables. Okay, then you go for statistics and see whether the required are ticked. Okay, see, we need estimate and we need model fit. At this point of time, we need all these. There are some other options also. We can study these in late at a future point of time, because learning everything together makes you complicated. So we want to make everything simple. Then this is very, very important. This is very, very important. You remember, I have already told you something regarding the assumptions, normality, linearity, homoscedasticity, and so on, and told you about some plots. Okay, so for that, we have to put Z-pred. Z-pred means Z value of, or the standardized value of, or standardized predicted value. Z-pred means standardized predicted values. I already told you predicted values. What is meant by predicted values? And another one is the Z residual, that is standardized value of residuals. Standardized value of predicted and the standardized value of residuals are taken here. Then here, you tick histogram and normal probability plot. Both these are actually required. And then continue. Okay. If you give OK, you will get the output. See. See this. First of all, before checking the data, you have to see these. This is the scatter plot. Scatter plot actually shows standardized residuals and standardized predicted value. Both these are shown together. You can see the y-axis, that is the left side. You can see a regression standardized predicted value, and at the bottom you can see a regression standardized residual. Both these are actually shown here. You look at the small points within the box and see whether these values are randomly distributed. Below and above the 0 point in on a point fixed at the on the left side. You can see at the left side -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Whether these values, these residuals are actually the predicted, standardized values are being given here in the form of small dots, small circles. Whether these values are equally distributed in this box, below and above 0. If it is so, we can say that the distribution is, there is no question of homoscedasticity. On the other hand, when these values or these small circles are concentrated in a particular area, you definitely will say there is a question of homoscedasticity. That is, the circles should be placed almost equally or randomly above and below the zero. That is the kind of judgment you have to make. Then you can say, if it is so, you can say there is homoscedasticity, otherwise there is heteroscedasticity. Okay, we need actually homoscedasticity, that is equal variance. Okay, so there may be some problems here, but it is almost okay. Then you have to see this normal PP plot, normal probability plot. I have already told you about a line, a straight line moving from left to bottom to the right end. See, you may not be able to see exactly because the residuals are actually just running through or running just above the a straight line. That is a condition for the residuals. If this bold line, these are actually not bold lines, these are like these small circles. Small circles are placed here continuously. So if there is a wide fluctuations or wide variation of these circles from the straight line, we definitely will say the distribution is not normal. Here we can say with confidence that this distribution is normal, no problem at all. We can go for regression analysis. Okay, one more thing. Okay, see this. See this. Almost, approximately, this distribution is normal. Approximately, not exactly, but approximately this distribution is normal. Not exactly, I would say, not exactly, but approximately this is normally distributed. What is the indication for that? See the mean value and the standard deviation. Here n is 259. That means the standard deviation is the sample size is 259. Sample size is 259. Since this is a pandemic period and the data are being collected with the help of mobile phones, I have agreed with the student to stop the survey because the students are expected to submit their thesis by 18th of this month. By 18th of this month, they are expected to submit the thesis. So the data collection is stopped. But this data is actually not sufficient for making a wonderful finding. Okay, whatever be it, you look at the mean. Mean value is minus 3.08, E minus 15, that is to be read as minus 3.08 E raised to minus 15. E raised to minus 15. Those who are knowing mathematics know that this value is approximately 0. Not exactly 0, it is approximately 0. E raised to minus 15 is approximately 0. And look at the standard deviation. Standard deviation is 0.992. 0.992 is approximately equal to 1 or approximately 1. I have told you two things. That is, mean is approximately 0 and standard deviation is approximately 1. When both these conditions are satisfied, you know it is a standard normal distribution. These are the conditions or characteristics of a standard normal distribution. A standard normal distribution is one with mean 0 and standard deviation 1. Okay, so approximately this this is a standard normal distribution. So again, sufficient evidence for applying the regression. See this. We have to first of all, you have to look at the model summary table. Model summary table actually shows R, that is the correlation coefficient. That is 0.687. 0.687 correlation value is a significant or a high level of correlation. Not too high, but a moderate level of correlation between the independent and dependent variables. That is an important quality or the characteristics of data which we are actually using for regression. The correlation is 0.687, that is moderate, and R square is 0.473. We have one adjusted R square also, that is adjusted R square simply refers to standardized R square, that is 0.464. This is to be understood by everyone very clearly. This is the most important statistical fact we are actually identifying. 0.464 means what? You have studied about coefficient of determination. You may be teaching that also, coefficient of determination, that is R square. A square of the correlation is technically known as the R square or coefficient of determination. What does it say? What does it say? It says that R square or adjusted R square 0.464 says that 46.4% of the variation in the dependent variable. Here, what is dependent variable? That is retirement confidence. 46.4% of the variation in retirement confidence is explained by the independent variables. What are the independent variables here? That is financial literacy, future time perspective, goal clarity, and positive financial behavior. Remember, 46.4% of the movement or changes in the retirement confidence, that is a dependent variable, is explained by this independent variables. That means 1 unit change in the independent variables will result in 0.464 unit change in retirement confidence. That is the explanation for that or interpretation of that. Okay. Then you look at in ANOVA. ANOVA significance value is 0.000. Significance value is 0.000. Okay, that means this regression model is highly significant. When regression, when the significance value is equal to or less than 0.05, that means the whatever model you have predicted, your alternative hypothesis or the hypothesis made by you, that is what was my hypothesis? My hypothesis was the retirement confidence of individuals. This is specifically with respect to women. Retirement confidence of women depends on this independent variables like financial literacy, future time perspective, goal clarity, positive financial behavior. That is significant. That means whatever data, whatever you found from the sample is true in general case also, in population also. Now we can say that retirement confidence of people is being decided to a certain extent by their financial literacy, their goal clarity, future time perspective, and their financial behavior. That's the explanation. Okay, and you are expected to look at F also. Whenever you deal with analysis of variance, F is very important. F says something. F actually says something about that. Actually, how we are actually calculating F while doing ANOVA manually. Okay, here you can see the mean square here, that is 8.665 and 0.152. And F is actually calculated by using the equation F is equal to greater variance divided by lower variance. That is the fundamental equation. But in regression, actually this is explained variance divided by unexplained variance. This 0.152 actually speaks about the unexplained variance. And 8.665 speaks about explained variance. When explained variance means explained due to this regression model. And the ratio is F. 56.885 is the ratio of explained to unexplained. When explained to unexplained is higher, that finding is, or that F is highly significant. When both these becomes 1, that is the explained variance and unexplained variance becomes 1, same, the F will become insignificant. That is the kind of understanding you have to make. Okay, even though this is statistics, there is something to be understood by the researcher in detail. So higher the value of F, better is the reliability of the findings. Okay, okay, see this. Here you can see one constant. Constant here. Okay. 2.795. What does it indicate? What does it indicate? Constant means when the values of the independent variables are equal to 0, the value of the dependent variable will be 2.795. That is a base. When the value of when the values of independent variables become 0, the value of dependent variable will be 2.795. That is the meaning. That is, there will be a minimum of 2.795 retirement confidence in almost all women in Kerala. Okay. Whether this constant is significant or not is not a matter. Don't worry about it. You don't want to check this. Okay. You don't want to check it. Here it is significant, but you don't want to check it because in some cases, the significant value of the constant may be more than 0.05. Don't worry about it. Okay. And then you look here, all other significance values. You can see positive financial behavior. It is significance value is 0.001. That means positive financial behavior is a significant factor influencing the retirement confidence. But you look at the future time perspective, it is 0.222. That means future time perspective is not a significant factor influencing the retirement confidence, not a significant factor influencing the retirement confidence. And goal clarity is definitely a significant factor, but you look at the sign of T here, standardized coefficient, and then this is a very important factor. Goal clarity is a very important factor, but the sign is minus 0.534. I have already told you the reverse relationship. So there is a negative relationship between goal clarity and this retirement confidence that is actually against the theoretical prediction. I believe that the data may be entered in a reverse order. That may be the reason. The students are doing this, but definitely we can have a look at the original questionnaire and can record it. No problem at all. But goal clarity is a very important factor. But which one is, you see, the financial literacy is also important, significant. It is 0.028. So what are the factors that are significantly influencing the retirement confidence? That is positive financial behavior, then goal clarity, and then financial literacy. These are influencing. Future time perspective has no significant impact. So you can write down as positive financial behavior, goal clarity, and financial literacy have a significant impact on the retirement confidence of women. Okay, that is the finding. Okay, this is the way in which we are expected to make regression analysis. I have already explained in detail almost everything. You don't want to look at this. No need for that. Okay. And one more thing to be explained to you. You have to look at the standardized coefficients. Or otherwise, this unstandardized B. B simply actually stands for beta. B stands for beta. Here you can see 0.210, 0.057, then 0.534 and 0.104. These are the values. This actually shows, beta values actually shows the relative importance of independent variables on dependent variable. The relative importance of the independent variables on the dependent variable. While looking at the significance value, I have told you whether this is significant or not, but which one is having greater significance, I haven't told you. So by looking at this, you can see that goal clarity is the most important factor, but negatively influencing. Then positive financial behavior is the second important factor, and financial literacy is the third important factor. This should not be taken into account because this is not significant. Okay, in that way, we have to almost all columns, all details here can be explained if you know what is the meaning of that. Okay, let me do the exercise in another way. The same data we can do in another way. Let us see. Okay, the same data, going for analysis, regression, linear. So everything is here. Okay, see the variables are here. Don't want to worry. Look at the statistics. These are here. Then plot. This is here. Everything is here. We don't want to look at this. Then you come to the method. Here we have applied a method enter. There are many methods. You can see this, a small box, stepwise, remove, backward, forward, and so on. So if we are applying stepwise, what will be the difference? That is the thing to be seen. See, give OK. Give OK. And this is the kind of model summary. There are three options here. Why three options? There are three independent factors which are significant. That's why there are three important. Okay, see, in the first model, R is 0.660, R square is 0.435, adjusted R square is 0.433. Okay, in the second model, 666 becomes 677. That means the R square is improved by 0.17. That is 660 becomes 677, 0.17. And the third model, 0.685. There is a slight increase. Okay, so see this. You can also see the footnote also. The first model actually speaks about the predictors. What are the predictors in the first model? That is goal clarity. We have taken when you give stepwise regression, the system automatically will take the most important independent variable and the regression is run. That means here, financial confidence is, or retirement confidence is taken as is the dependent variable, and the goal clarity becomes the independent variable. Now, all other variables are put away from or kept away from the analysis so that the R square becomes 0.435 and the model is significant. Then in the second model, you can see the predictors are goal clarity and positive financial behavior. Then the R is improved to 0.677 and R square, adjusted R square improved to 0.455. A slight increase. When one more variable is included, there is a slight improvement. Even then, that is significant. And then when we have added financial literacy also along with this these two variables, there is a slight improvement in the R and R square. Here also the regression is actually significant. You remember, the most important factor is taken as the first independent factor. That is goal clarity. Goal clarity is the most important factor influencing the retirement confidence. That is taken as the first independent variable. Then we have added the next important, that is positive financial behavior is also added. Then we have added the third important factor. And for all models, the significance value is ANOVA is done and the significance value is given. See, coefficients also, you can see coefficients, goal clarity alone is here. The significance value is 0.000 and beta is 0.660. Then along with goal clarity, positive financial behavior is taken. Both these are significant. So positive financial behavior is having a beta value of 0.211. And along with these two independent variables, literacy is also added. Then we get 0.529, 0.226, and 0.107. And all the variables are actually statistically significant. Okay. Okay. This is another method. Then we can go with another method, analyze, regression, linear. So instead of stepwise, backward. Okay, see this. There are two methods in backward regression here. Two options are given. Here, R is 0.687 and R square is 0.473 in the first model. So in the first model, predictors are financial literacy, future time perspective, goal clarity, positive financial behavior. All independent variables are taken at a time. The R square becomes 0.473, adjusted R square is 0.464. And in the second model, financial literacy, goal clarity, positive financial behavior are taken and future time perspective is deleted because the system found that future time perspective is not significant. That is deleted and the R square becomes 0.685 and adjusted R square becomes 0.463. You see, there is a slight improvement in adjusted R square here. There is a slight improvement in the adjusted R square while going with this particular method. Okay, both these are significant. See, in the second one, positive financial behavior value of the beta value of positive significance, positive financial behavior is 0.226. Goal clarity minus 0.529 and financial literacy 0.107. So these are the different methods of doing regression. You can do according to your objective. If you want to show the regression model in a very detailed manner, instead of a method enter or enter method, you can go for stepwise or something else. See which one is most suitable and most interesting for you. Almost similar results are being given. Okay, let me take another data set. Okay. See. This is the data set with which we have done so many experiments. Once again, listen very carefully. Go to analyze, regression. Then you have studied exactly how to estimate curve. I don't want to do at present. Okay. Business performance is taken as the dependent variable. There are so many independent variables. Let us take some. So I put 4 independent variables, 4 independent variables and 1 dependent variable. Okay. Statistics, see, these are here. Continue. Plot. Is that predict? Is that residual? Then normal PP plot. Okay, continue. And we are applying this enter method. Okay. See. First of all, going to this. Okay. Whether there is some sort of problems in this scatter plot, that is to be taken care of first. For that, for understanding, for easily understanding, you have to look at the figures here. Is there any abnormality? Here, the values are up to 2 only, positive, but values are up to 3. That means values lying below 0 are more than that of values lying above 0. That means there is some problem. Look at the data here, the line here. It is okay, no problem at all, almost perfect. Linearity and normality conditions are satisfied here. PP plot. Okay, the standard deviation is 0.995 and mean value is 2.202 e raised to minus 0.15. That is also, to a certain extent, it is there is no problem, but there is some sort of problems here. That means we have to go for some sort of transformations with respect to this particular data. That is the indication. See how to interpret the findings. R is 0.725, indicating that a relationship between or correlation between independent and dependent variable is comparatively higher. 0.725 is a good correlation. R square, adjusted R square is 0.520. That is also very good. That shows what? Adjusted R square says, when it is 0.520, it says 52% of the change in the dependent variable can be explained with the help of independent variable. That means 1 unit change in the independent variable will lead to 0.52 unit variation in dependent variable. That is the finding. Since we are dealing with the data of non-banking financing company, this is a wonderful finding. 1 unit change in the independent variables, like what are the variables? The variables include relationships trust, relationship marketing, internal commitment, mass marketing, and so on. These are, all these together contribute 52% of changes in the business performance. The model is significant because the significance value is 0.000. And look at this coefficients. All coefficients are, significance values of all coefficients are lower than 0.05. That means all these are significantly influencing the business performance of non-banking financing companies. See, IC, that is the internal commitment. Look at the beta value, standardized the coefficient beta value. IC is having the highest beta value. That shows that IC stands for internal commitment. IC is the most important factor influencing the business performance. That is internal commitment of the staff. And another is relationships trust. That is the second important factor. That is 0.271 is the second important factor influencing business performance. Then relationship marketing is the third, is another one. Then we have one more variable, that is mass marketing. That is also significantly influencing the business performance, but in a negative way. That is, the higher the mass marketing orientation in branches, less will be the business performance. That is the indication, minus 0.149. Okay, this is the way in which you have to interpret the results. So let's see this particular test in another way. Okay, analyze, regression, linear. Okay, go for stepwise. There are 4 models, 4 different tests. Actually, this stands for 4 different tests, but combined together in a statement. Internal commitment, that is the most important factor, that is taken as the independent variable in the first model. Then R was 0.679 and R square was 0.46. When we have the system added, RT also, along with IC, RT is also added. That is, relationship trust is also added. 0.679 is improved to 0.706, and R square is increased to 0.498. Okay, then we have added one more variable, that is mass marketing. Then the correlation, or R, is improved to 0.720, and R square is improved to 0.1518. Then last variable, that is relationship marketing, is included in this model. So 0.720 became 0.725. Only 0.005 correlation is improved by 0.005 just because of relationship marketing, and this 0.518 is increased to 0.525. A nominal increase. There is only a nominal increase in the R square value, R and R square values, when one more variable is incorporated. But all these models are statistically significant, you remember. Okay, ANOVA says all these models are statistically significant. Here also you can see, in all models, all independent variables are statistically significant, right? Okay. Okay, if you have some queries, okay. Since there are only very few questions, I would like to continue with this. Okay, you may ask a question. We have in our last session we have applied two-way ANOVA, that is factorial ANOVA, and now I have taught you regression. What is the difference between these two? Okay, let me do a two-way ANOVA. Okay, go to analyze, generalized linear model, univariate. Business performance is taken as the dependent variable. Two nominal variables are taken as random factors or independent variables. Okay, don't want this. Okay, options. We need descriptive statistics and a homogeneity test. continue. Okay, one more thing. In option, you can see here we have something like absurd power. Okay, okay. We have descriptive statistics like this. We don't want to discuss this. Okay, here we want to see. See the significance values. Intercept is significant. Designation is not significant means what? Significance value of designation is 0.399. What does it indicate? Designation, that the difference, whenever we do a two-way ANOVA, we say that the independent variables, we assume that independent variables have significant impact on the dependent variable. Significant impact or effect, not impact, effect on the dependent variable. But here, significance value is 0.399 means designation is not having an effect on the business performance of branches. Designation of the manager is not significant. And you see annual turnover, that also is not significant. These two are not significant. But you see, designation and annual turnover, both these, when both of them together is taken, it is significant. When considering designation of the manager and the annual turnover, the business performance is significant, or this annual turnover and the designation jointly have a significant impact on the business performance of non-banking financing companies. That is the finding. Actually, why I have taken an example like this is to show what is the difference between a regression and a two-way ANOVA. You may feel that are they one and the same? In reality, they are almost one and the same. But in case of ANOVA, we can use nominal data as independent variable. We can use nominal data that like gender, education, designation, classified annual income, and so on. These can be taken as, these nominal variables can be taken as independent variable, and one dependent variable that is to be selected for two-way ANOVA should be in scale form. But in case of regression, all independent variables should be in scale form. That is a difficulty. See the difference. If you do two-way ANOVA, which the variables, the classifying variables, like nominal variables, you will be able to say the effect of nominal variables on the dependent scale variable. But that is not possible in case of linear regression. Okay. Okay. Would like to see your doubts. Thank you so much for listening to me. Definitely, we will be dealing with another regression model in the next class, which will be more useful to you. You try your level best to come and participate in our program from the very beginning itself. That's very important, from the very beginning itself, so that many of you are actually missing the introductory talk. Especially the theoretical aspects are discussed at the beginning time. Many of you are actually losing without listening to such theoretical aspects. how is it possible for you to understand the theoretical background? Okay, very useful. Another very useful tool will be discussed in the next session. And I would like to tell you that in the next week, in the coming week, not the next week, in this week, we want to finish our program by next Sunday. And this is the 7th one, so we have to go for 3 sessions in this week. That is Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. You please bear with us because some technical problems are here. We have to look into that. So we will have 3 different sessions. The next session will be on Wednesday. Then another session will be on Saturday evening, and the last session will be on Sunday. Thank you so much. Okay, question number 1. Does F value in regression analysis tells us about extraneous variables? No. Actually, we are not looking into the extraneous variables here. By taking into account the model summary table, that is the beta value, you have a constant. Actually, the regression equation is A plus y is equal to, originally it is y hat is equal to A plus bx when there is only one independent variable. If there are more than one independent variables, the equation will be modified. Y hat is equal to A plus bx1 plus bx2 plus up to bxn plus one more, that is epsilon or error term. That is what is unexplained. Unexplained. Say, when I say that the R-square value of a particular regression is 0.58, that means only 58% of the variation in dependent variable can be explained with the help of this independent variable. The remaining 42% cannot be explained. That 42% is considered as error term E. That may be due to extraneous variables. And F actually is the ratio between explained variables, explained variance, and unexplained variance. Hope you have a clear idea about it. Question is good. Does all model summary have adjusted R-square? Definitely. When we applied logit and project regression, we will see it later. What is the criteria for the selection of regression method? The criteria is the characteristic of the variables you are actually using. When the dependent and independent variables are linearly related and all the variables are normal, you have to go for linear regression. If the variables are not, if the dependent variable is not normal, you can go for logistic regression. And if some of the independent variables are not normally distributed or the residuals are not normally distributed, you can have your own model, specially design the models, and so on. Depends on the shape of the distribution. Okay. Could you suggest the books to study statistics from basics to advanced? Definitely, I will upload. I will upload a book for studying the basics of statistics today or tomorrow. For studying the multivariate data analysis, that is for advanced learners. Multivariate data analysis, the title of the book is Multivariate Data Analysis. The book is written by 5 people, that is Hare, Black, Babin, Anderson, and Thatham. Book is published by Pearson Education. Price of the book is between 500 and 600. It's a wonderful book. All elements regarding multivariate data analysis or multivariate data statistical practices are being very clearly explained. The title is Multivariate Data Analysis. The authors are Hare, Black, Babin, Anderson, and Thatham. Book is published by Pearson Education. Definitely, if you want to study the practical aspects of statistics, especially probability, distributions, and so on, I would like to suggest 2 books. That is Statistics for Management by Levin and Rubin, and Complete Business Statistics. That's also a wonderful book. These are actually having extraordinary practical-oriented problems so that we will be able to understand the concept very, very easily. But the book is high quality, high standard. These are available online. You can buy. I definitely will include as many books or upload as many books as possible immediately, and definitely will share the details regarding books in our group. Okay. Okay, based on which values the interpretation for regression should be made? Is it standardized coefficient or unstandardized coefficient? Actually, the standardized coefficients are given for giving a standardized explanation. Standardized is comparatively better than unstandardized. People are doing or using both. If you, actually the standardized, the difference between standardized values and unstandardized values is comparatively negligible. Better to go for standardized. That is my opinion. Okay. Please show how to write regression equation. Actually, it is y hat is equal to a plus bx. There are so many independent variables, then bx1, bx2, bx3, and so on. Okay. Will it be sufficient to include adjusted R-square, significance value, and beta value while we interpret regression analysis? Actually, this depends on where you are actually doing writing. If you are writing a paper, you don't want to show all the tables. You have to show adjusted R-square, then the significance value and the beta only. Even that may not be in tabular form. That may be in running form also, depending on the nature of the journal. Okay. Is there any threshold limit for adjusted R-square? Actually, there is no threshold limit for adjusted R-square, but there should be reasonable. That is important. Even even an R-square of 0.3, maybe. Even the 0.2 or 0.3 or 0.4 may be good in real world situations, because we know that, say for example, take the case of business performance. Business performance of an organization, especially the non-banking financing companies or banking companies or retail companies, the performance is influenced by so many factors. Then getting a 0.2 or 0.3 or 0.23 as R-square may be good. It should be significant. That is important. Too low R-square cannot be usually reported.